little tutorial has been created to help you structure your body paragraphs. So what I've done is I've taken a body paragraph and I've highlighted the different sections so you can see how to structure your body paragraphs for a comparative essay. So the prompt we're referring to is, are the family members of the Boones and the Mollisons considered victims? Discuss. Let's read the sample body paragraph. So it says, this film and text show two characters who feel it is unfair that they have disabled family members and feel like victims. If we look at this sentence right here, it's really easy to see that in the yellow, our topic sentence refers to the big idea, that being that they feel it's unfair because they have disabled family members. In saying that, we're not referring to which characters we're discussing. We're not referring to which text or the names of the text or anything in particular. We're just making it very, very clear to the reader that we're going to discuss this idea. And then we elaborate on that in the next section. So in the green, what you'll notice is we have a few sentences here. Part of those sentences are giving context to the textual evidence. That's the quotes in the purple that we've actually taken from the novel, so it makes sense. So in the black balloon, making it very clear to us which text we're talking about, the brother Thomas, now we know which character we're talking about, feels like a victim to his own brother. This is shown during the poo scene. Jackie comes over to return something. He tries to hide Charlie, but when he locks him in a room, he poos on the floor and Jackie sees this. And immediately, Thomas is embarrassed and angry and he calls his brother a freak. The fact that he's explained here that Thomas is immediately embarrassed and angry starts to make it very clear to the reader as to why he may feel like he's a victim. So Thomas is also illustrated as a victim when he is in the car back from the hospital and he asks his dad, don't you think it's unfair? And don't you wish things were different? Now this next section is going to link all that back and refer back, explain why this evidence is significant. So in the blue it says, this really illustrates his lack of appreciation for his brother, and instead of embracing his disability, he thinks it's a burden and it is unfair on himself. That makes it very clear to me, the assessor, to understand, one, what the significance of the evidence was, but number two, how this refers to him thinking he's a victim because he feels this burden and that it's unfair. The next key word that a lot of you seem to be missing is what we call our transition. And it says similarly. So it's only one word, but that word shows me that you're moving on to the next text and that you're going to talk about a similarity on this big idea. So Judy, from the curious incident of the dog in the nighttime, is also seen as a victim to her disabled son, Christopher. This is illustrated by her choice to leave her son because she feels she does not have the patience to look after him. Once again, we've got very clear context to why does she feel like she is a victim to her situation, and now we lead into the evidence. She is depicted as a victim when she says things like, if things were different, and I thought I was doing the best for us all. This shows, so back to our explanation of the significance, this shows a lack of love for her child, and really she didn't want to look after him because it was too hard, and how she feels if things had been different, it could have kept their family together. So referring back to that family relationship, but showing that she was struggling with that situation. So the last bit is something we call the universal truth. So we've looked at these two examples, we've explained how they link back to the prompt, but what we haven't said is, what do we ultimately learn about from these two examples? What is something that we can even learn about if we were to see examples like this in our own lives that can be taken from these examples? So if we read this one sentence here, it says, through these examples, it becomes evident that when individuals feel overwhelmed by the responsibilities of being a caretaker, they perceive themselves as victims to their situation. And then our linking sentence is, these two characters clearly show signs of being a victim to their disabled brother and son. So it goes back and relates to what we've discussed, but also links back to the topic of how could they be considered victims. What's really important to note here is when we're writing our body paragraphs that we have our transition and that we have very specific examples to prove why we think they're a victim or to prove why you think it's a difficult family relationship, depending on what your prompt is. Be very, very specific with your examples because that will allow you to show the assessor that you have a very clear knowledge of the text. Final task I'd like you to do is, now that you understand the structure, have a go at rewriting one of your body paragraphs that wasn't quite doing that or that you could improve.